Well, for more on this, I'm joined now by Karim Khan from Dubai. He's a lawyer who previously was a legal advisor in the office of the prosecutor in the International Criminal Tribunals for the former Yugoslavia. Karim Khan, good to speak to you this morning. What's your sense of what the outcome of today may be?
Well, the judges will give their decision in due course, but any objective observer that is aware of the events in the former Yugoslavia will know that all the evidence pointed in one direction amongst others, and that was the responsibility and role played by RADOVAN Karadzic. So we don't have long to wait for the decision, but I can understand fully what the sentiments of Hanifa and Myra and others are, that they've waited a very long time indeed for some kind of accountability for the real architects of the very terrible events in Srebrenica and the sniping and the reign of terror in Sarajevo and the attack against Muslims and Croats. Of course, Milosevic passed away before a decision was rendered. So there's a great sense of anticipation, not a day for vengeance, but a day where hopefully justice will be done.
And of course, Karim, it's worth remembering that this trial took so long because Mr. Karadzic was on the run for many years, hiding as a sort of a new age healer. Why do you think the legal process has taken so long now to get to where we are today?
Well, the indictment was issued in 1995, but as you intimated, that he hid in plain sight with a large beard as a new age healer. And it was a very large manhunt indeed. Of course, before 9/11, before Osama bin Laden became the most wanted person, Karadzic perhaps was infamous in being that most wanted person in the world, amongst others. The trial itself, it's a massive case. It takes into account not only the crime scene of Sarajevo, but also other warehouses and other places in Orovac, in Provincia, where men and children were massacred, more than 1,000 in each, sniping in Sarajevo. But in total, the number of trial days are about 500 trial days, less than 500, about 497. And when you put that in context, that about 600 witnesses were heard, I think one can understand why, to hear 600 witnesses, 497 days is understandable. But it is really a function of the charges. It's genocide, it's crimes against humanity. These are widespread and systematic attacks that are alleged against the civilian population, and one has to prove the contextual elements of the crimes, but also the victims, the mothers of Srebrenica, the victims of the reign of terror of Sarajevo, the UN hostages, all of those, some of them have to come before the court to give the judges a taste of what took place, and so that they can be cross-examined, and so that a decision is not one built upon newspaper articles or news reports, but based upon evidence that is tried and tested in the courtroom. And that's the best way, many of us think, to prevent revisionism. Absolutely. Because the ugly reality is that in the 1990s, in the Balkans, in the former Yugoslavia, we saw nationalism unleashed. We saw racism, anti-Islamic sentiment, anti-Croatian sentiment, and the charge that you intimated of selective prosecution really is a nonsense. I represented the first KLA commander.
Sorry, I had to interrupt you there, Karim Khan. Sorry, we have run out of time, but thank you very much for joining us.